Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you the first of 3 Get Ready With Me videos, and I am going to be kind of dedicating each one to one of 3 of the YouTubers that I started watching years and years ago and that I feel like I have learned the most from. And so today's video I am dedicating to Marlena and Makeup Geek. I subscribe to Makeup Geek. I think she was one of the first, if not the first, YouTubers that I subscribed to. So I can remember when I first started watching Makeup Geek, I thought the name was kind of funny. And I thought, you know, I guess I kind of am a makeup geek because I love makeup and I'm kind of a geek about makeup. And so it was just kind of fun to be a part of this community of people who loved makeup as much as I did and didn't think that I was crazy because I got excited about a new lipstick or a new eyeshadow. So Marlena has built not only her YouTube channel, but she has now gone on to build a huge company, a very successful company. I'm so happy for her. And she's come up with her own cosmetic line of makeup products. And she continues to build slowly on that line as she's able. So today I'm going to be using all of the Makeup Geek products that I currently own and creating this look, which is kind of a little bit fall inspired. It's September, so I'm kind of getting in the mood. I just want to say a huge thank you to Makeup Geek, to Marlena, just for all of the hours and the dedication that she spent in teaching others like me how to apply makeup, and I learned so much from her. And so I hope that this video is fun for you and insightful and maybe introduces you to some new products that you might not have tried before. With all of that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this Get Ready With Me video. Okay, so first I'm just starting off with some eyeshadow primer. This is the Milani eyeshadow primer. Okay, so I'm gonna let that primer sit on the eyes, and I'm gonna go ahead and go in with some foundation and do my brows, get those 2 things done. So I'm going to do a technique that I honestly feel like was the first time I ever saw anybody do this was Marlena, and it is to pair 2 different foundations together to either come up with your right shade and or to mix formulas. If you have a sheer glowy foundation but you need a little more stay power, you can mix 2 different formulas. So I'm going to mix, this is one of my favorite combinations, and it is the Too Faced Peach Foundation. I like the staying power of the Peach Foundation, and then I also like just the little more natural finish of the EX1 foundation. This is in the shade 2.0, and I don't need a lot of this, but I'm just gonna dot this on my face. So let's blend all of this together. And you can definitely mix this on a little palette, plastic palette like you've seen me do before, but sometimes this is just a little faster. Now I'm just gonna add a little bit of powder on my forehead and through my brows. I'm using the Coty Airspun powder in the translucent extra coverage, and I'm just gonna use my little powder puff here. Press a little bit of this in. For brows, I'm just going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to use the NYX Precision Brow Pencil in the color Taupe. Then I'm going to finish off with just a little brow powder. This is the Anastasia Brow Powder Duo in Taupe. I'm just going to go in with a little bit of that darker shade through the back of the brows here. And then set the brows in place with some NYX Control Freak Eyebrow Gel. And now it's time for my favorite part, eyeshadow, yay! So as you can see, I have quite a collection. These are all Makeup Geek shadows. These are individual pan shadows. So these just come in a little aluminum tin and it has the name on the bottom of them. And then this palette, it's called a Z palette. There are lots of companies making these now, but it just has a magnetic base. And so it allows you to kind of build your own palette. And so what I love about Makeup Geek is she's got just about every color under the sun of eyeshadow that you could ever want, and all different finishes. She's also got a couple of foiled pigment shadows that are pressed. I'm going to use a couple of those today, or at least one or two today, and just an amazing formula. And these are $6 each. So if you're somebody who doesn't like to buy a huge palette and say, oh, you're only going to use 4 colors, this is a way to personalize your own palette. So I'm going to use several shades today. The first one I'm going to go in with as a brow bone highlight is So Pale, and I'm not super pale at the moment, but I like my brow bone to be a little lighter, so we're going to put this right up on the brow bone. This is a matte shade, has a little bit of cream undertones, and then there's also, if you're fairer than I am, there is the color White Lies, and then Beaches and Cream if you have a little bit deeper skin tone. This just gives us a little highlight under the brow bone here. Now there's a couple of classic, what I think are classic blending shades, and I'm going to use a couple of them. Why not? This first one I'm going to use is called Peach Smoothie. I don't know if you can tell, but it has a huge indentation. I've almost hit pan. I'm just going to use this as my transition shade and build this up. It just provides a little bit of a warm, kind of peachy tone here. And again, gives us something to blend our crease shades into. And then I'm gonna go in with the shade that's right next to it in my palette, which is Creme Brulee, another classic color. And I'm gonna take this a little lower in the crease and really build this shade up. I'm going to start with this brush. So this is the Morphe M504 that I've been using as my blender here. These shadows, they are pigmented, but there's not a ton of fallout. There's not a bunch of kickback. And so it allows you to really build up the color slowly, which is nice. You don't end up with it all over your face. So I'm going to go in now with a Morphe M433 and more of Creme Brulee, and just layer on a little more of that shadow. And then another classic is Cocoa Bear, and it's this beautiful warm brown. She has a newer shade. This one's called Sidekick, which I also love. But Cocoa Bear is just slightly darker, and I'm just using that same Morphe M433 to blend this into the outer corner, and I'm pulling this up towards the brow, but I'm only taking it about halfway across in the crease now. And again, these shadows just, they blend so well. She just has done a phenomenal job on the formula of these shadows. And then in the outer corner, low on the, towards the lash line, I'm going to go in with a combination of this dark, deep chocolate brown, and this is called Americano. If you're a coffee lover, it's a great name for a shade. And then right next to it is Corrupt, and this is still, I believe, the blackest black that I have in my collection. It is super dark and deep and only takes a tiny little bit. So I'm going to first start with the Americana, and I'm using my Morphe E17 brush, and we are just going to deepen the lower part here and right into that corner right there. And I'm kind of doing what I would consider a classic look that Marlena would do as far as the darker outer corner, shimmery inner corner. Then on this Sedona Lace EB21, it's kind of a small smudger brush. I am going to go in with that shade Corrupt, and I mean the very lightest tap, and then tap your brush off, and I mean it is deep and dark and beautiful pigment. But it really only takes a tiny little bit. And then going back with the E17, just going to blend that in. And you can see I'm blending down now, so I don't want to take that black up too far. So blending towards the center and then down towards the lashes. Okay, now it's time for my favorite part, and we're going to put on one of her foiled pigment shadows, and I am using her foiled eyeshadow brush. And this just has special types of bristles that really do pick up the foiled pigments better. If you don't have this brush, these pigment shadows do work well if you pick them up with your finger. So I'm going to go in with this shade right here, and it's Grandstand. It's one of her all-time favorite shades and mine as well. It's just beautiful. So I'm going to press this onto my lid. And I like to kind of get the shape of kind of where I want it, and then I build it up with my finger, and you'll see how much pigment you can lay down. And these shadows, I feel like as long as you've used an eyeshadow primer, they stay on my eyes. I don't have any problem with transfer. They're not dropping down below my eyes, so they're really great. So now I'm going to take my ring finger and just press a little bit more right here where I want it even brighter, and you can just see what a beautiful shade that is. And now as a final step up here with the shadow, just take that E17 brush and gently blend the edge there to blend. I'm just quickly going to add a little bit of liner and shadow to the lower lash line before we finish up with some liquid liner up top. So I'm going to use the Urban Decay eyeliner pencil in the color Smog, and I just think this is a beautiful shimmery kind of bronze shade. And even though I always go over this with shadow, I think that's an important step to keeping the shadow in place, and it also keeps the shadow from like flying into my eye as I'm applying it down there. Okay, now on this flat definer brush, this is the Morphe M432, I'm going to go in with some of that Grandstand right here. And I'm just keeping this real close to the lash line because I don't want shimmer particles in the lines below my eyes, but I'm just going to kind of tie in a little bit of what we did up top here. Then I'm going to take this e.l.f. smudge brush and a little bit of Cocoa Bear and use this here just to warm this up. And don't worry, I know it looks like I'm being really messy because I am, because I'm going to clean up here. And I'm just making sure that I have a deep corner here, and so I want to really make sure that I connect this shadow with what's going up top. So I'm really pressing that smudger brush here in the corner. Okay, now my plan is to do a little flick. We'll see if it ends up being a longer wing, but I'm going to use the Kat Von D tattoo liner in Mad Max Brown, and I am going to just start here about midway across, really close to the lashes, and then just thicken this outer corner just a smidge and I'm going to take this flick up towards the brow. Okay, now it's time to clean up under the eye, and I'm gonna just use my almond oil on a Q-tip like usual. It's time for some concealer. And one thing that I learned from Marlena is that it's important not to go too light with your concealer. And actually you can try a shade darker than your skin tone first to cover the actual color of your dark circles, and then go in with something a little bit bright. So in that frame of mind, I'm using the Tarte Creaseless Concealer, and I'm going in first with medium golden. And this is just a little darker for me at the moment, and that looks like I put on a lot, but I really didn't. It's important not to put too much concealer on here. And then over the top of that, I'm going to go in with a slightly lighter shade, and this is medium neutral, same formula, and I'm just going to put a couple little dots of this. And then just pat this in. And you can see that just really brightened the under eye. So it's kind of the same philosophy as color correcting first, but instead of using just a pink or a peach color corrector, you can actually go in with something a little bit darker to cover up the darkness, and then brighten it just a little bit with a skin tone concealer. Now I'm going to set that concealer with just a little bit of powder, and this is the Lorac Perfection powder, and I have it in the color light medium. And I'm just using my Real Technique sponge to just lightly set that. And then since I added concealer, I want to just smudge out this lower lash line just a little bit. So I'm just taking that e.l.f. smudge brush, no extra product. I'm just going to softly brush this right at the edge of that line just to blend it a little bit, soften the line here. Now that the foundation has had a little bit of time to sink in, I'm just going to add a little bit of powder, and I'm going back in with the Coty Airspun powder and the sponge, and I'm just going to press this in. Now it's time to go in with some more of my favorite Makeup Geek products, and those are blush, bronzer, and highlight. And this first product, this is her bronzer, and you can just see this amazing packaging. It's beautiful. It's a gunmetal color. The back is black with like rose gold writing. Her details on all of her packaging is just phenomenal. She's done a great job. And inside, this is the color Tawny. This is the middle shade, and these are out of stock on her website, but these are now sold at Target and Target.com. So this is where I got mine. So again, this is the color Tawny, and I'm gonna use just this paddle brush. This is from Sedona Lace, the 919, and these are almost like a satin finish. They don't have shimmer. They're not quite a flat matte, but they just really add just a nice little bit of color and kind of make your skin look healthy. And these are pretty pigmented, but they're not powdery. So you just tap your brush and blend onto the skin. And this one does have a little more warmth to it, so, but I do feel like it can work as a little bit of a contour too. I'm gonna go in with a contour shade as well, but if you just wanted to use one product, you could probably use this. But as you can see, I mean, it just adds a nice, healthy tan look to my face. for contour, she actually came up with individual pans of contour. So here is what those look like. This is in the color Infidelity, and it's Cool Fair. So she came up with cool and warm contour shades, and fair, medium, and dark, I believe. So depending on your skin tone, you could find more easily your right contour shade. So I chose this one because, as you can see, it looks a little more gray than one that's next to it. So it's more of a cool tone to use for contour. So I think that's awesome. And I'm using the Sedona Lace FB05, and this is just kind of a round, dense brush, and I'm just gonna swirl this right below my cheekbones. And you don't need a whole lot of this shade. I have to be careful. This is pretty pigmented, so I don't want it to look too gray, but blended in with that warmer bronzer, I think it creates just a really nice contour for my skin tone. And I'm gonna do a little bit of nose contour. I'm just gonna be I'm going to tap off my brush a lot so I don't get too much here. For blush, I'm gonna go in with my all-time favorite shade, and I'm so sad to see that she's discontinued this color. There's a similar one, I'll annotate it here. I think it's Covet or something like that, but it's Infatuation, and I mentioned this in my Ride or Die products as my favorite all-time blush shade. And again, it comes in this pan. Just amazing formula. I also have it in the shade Spellbound, and that is still a current shade. And this is just a beautiful neutral pink color. And then here is Infatuation. And Infatuation is one that it doesn't look like a whole lot when you swatch it, but when you put it on your cheeks, it gives enough life. Reminds me of NARS Madly Blush, kind of same feel. Very neutral, goes with just about anything, but just adds a little bit of life to the cheeks. Using my Morphe E4 blush brush, I'm gonna apply a little bit of Infatuation there. And now it's time for my last face product from her, and that is highlighter. Now, this particular highlighter palette is not available anymore in the trio, but each one of these colors is sold individually on the Target website. Woohoo! So I am gonna go in with this shade right here, which I believe is Night Light, and it's just the perfect champagne-y gold color. This one right here, which is called Starlight, has a more pinky, cooler tone to it. And then this one is good for deeper skin tone, or I can get away with it when I have a tan, which I do right now. I might add a little bit of this, and that's called Sunlight. But they're super buttery and smooth and no glitter. They are shimmery, and you'll see in a second when I apply them, they really you don't need a whole lot, but they don't emphasize texture on the skin, which I appreciate. I'm just gonna use my MAC fan brush. I love this brush for highlighter, and I'm gonna go in first with that shade Night Light. And I love that these are really buildable, so you can decide how much glow, but isn't that just beautiful? Just catches the light so nicely. And all of her face products, because she herself had realized she had an allergy to talc, that all of her face products are talc free. And all of her products are made in the USA, which I think is fabulous. And then I'm going to just add a little bit of the Sunlight shade Low right here. And just add a little bit of a bronze, and then I'm going to add a little bit on my nose, just for a little more healthy glow. Going back to the eyes, I'm going to go back in with another, I'm going to combine, I think, 2 of her foiled pigments. So this one right here, which I believe is Magic Act. Yes, Magic Act, which is a really beautiful shimmery pale gold color. And then I'm going to mix it with a little bit of Starry Eyed, which is this shade right here. And this is kind of a silvery pink color. So those 2 combined, I think, make a beautiful inner corner highlight. And I'm just going to take this Sigma E30 and go in first with a little bit of that gold shade. And then over the top of it, I'm going to go take that Starry Eyed. And it just brightens it a little more than the Grandstand shade that we have on the lid. Her all-time favorite is the L'Oreal Voluminous Mascara. I don't have the regular mascara, but if you saw my last video, you know I love the primer. So this is the L'Oreal Voluminous Primer, and I'm going to use the L'Oreal Lash Paradise and curl my lashes, and then I'll be right back for lips. Now on my lips, I am going to use 2 NYX products, and I really feel like Makeup Geek was the first one that ever introduced me to NYX. I remember I fell in love with the NYX glosses because she loved them so much, and I think I have a blog post of all these swatches of NYX glosses. So I don't have those glosses anymore, but I do have the NYX Intense Butter Gloss. I rummaged through my drawers, and this is in the color Chocolate Crepe. I'm going to start first with the NYX Lip Liner in Nutmeg. And then after letting that sit on the lips for about a minute or so, because I'm going in with a glossy formula, I kind of like to let the lip liner dry down a little bit just to prevent any bleeding from the lip color. Now these Intense Butter Glosses, they smell like cake batter. They're so good and super pigmented. You can see this is just a really brown berry color, perfect for fall. All right, guys, so here's our finished look. And hopefully this just gave you some new inspiration of not only a look to try, but maybe some new products to try. If you've never tried any of Makeup Geek products, I will link her website below. I'm not an affiliate with her. I'm not making any money off of selling her products. I just want to send her a little extra love and just introduce her products to you because I think they are among the top best formulas out there, and I love that they're made in the USA, cruelty-free, and just she really does an amazing job. So I just want to send a little extra love and kudos her way. So thank you guys as always for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye.